anybody interested in making money? Anyone? Anyone? I got out of school. I was interested in making money, but I had a dilemma, and that was I didn't know what it was that, the whole thing is like follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. If you follow your dreams and don't worry about making money, eventually, wow, you'll be swimming in it. It'll just happen. Well, that presupposes you're going to be good at it, all right? So I was, my dream probably would have been to be a professional football or basketball player, but at 6 feet and slow with limited athleticism, that wasn't going to happen. So me following my dreams, I also like to play the guitar, but I was no Jimi Hendrix, and I couldn't see that happening. So I had a lot of things I like to do, but I just didn't see how this is going to turn into a big money-making thing for me. But like many of you, I was pretty good at things I wanted to get pretty good at, and I figured I could do anything, but I didn't know which direction I go in because nothing really spoke to me. It was like I didn't have anybody to really get me inspired about one thing or another, and it was very frustrating. A lot of people are at that point, they're trying to find their major in school, and they change majors all the time, and that's also why in the first 18 months after college, after graduating, most people, the average is they change jobs 3 times. And not because they're incompetent, they just can't figure out what it is they wanted to do. So I tried to get locked in on that early in, and what I heard, and again, folks, I'm trying to be as neat as I can on all of this stuff, but I'm not going to worry about it too much because I live in a world where Duck Hunters is the #1 show on cable, 6.8 million people, unscripted, and they've got Uncle Si as one of their stars. So somehow I don't think I need to be too polished, but I'm going to be as polished as I can. But what they told me was, Larry, except for people that are entertainers and athletes, and they said the overwhelming majority who make big money are in sales. They said, back then it was in the early, back in 1920, no, not that far back, but in the 70s, 80s, they said that most of the people who are making over, say, $50,000 a year, they're going to be in sales, especially if you eliminate all of the people who've gone to school for 1,000 years to get, or done a lot of prep work to get their degree and accreditation, like accountants and doctors and attorneys and all. Unless you're going to go that route, the heavy study route, and incur big debts that you have to pay back, most people are in sales because sales makes the world go round. Now, that got me interested in sales even though I was no good at it, but what I found was you can get good at it if you find somebody to learn from, and I've got 10 simple, very effective videos on sales, because in essence everybody's in sales, whether you know it or not, in this life. If you deal with people and you can't crowbar them into doing what you want to do, you've got to somehow convince them that it's in their best interest. So you've got to be able to, it's part of developing winning people skills, survival skills in life. But it's also, if you do it as a profession, pays lots of money. But the only problem with that was there's only 24 hours in the day, and no matter how good you get, eventually you reach your limit. The other thing is, so it's limited. That was the downside there. But you could stretch it up to where it was a higher average income than most people. The other thing is insecure. If you take a vacation, if you get sick, all that disappears. So the other thing is if you work for corporations, I don't want to bust the bubble for all of you kids getting out of college going to work for the drug companies and all of these things. The trouble is with the big corporations, what they do is they give you a territory. And when you work the territory, and if you're good, you max that thing out. You build lots of new clients, and you go back and you max out the territory and you max out your bonuses. So then you have somebody running that company who's never made a sale in their life. They don't know the sheer terror you live in of having to go out there into the business jungle and get your prey every day, find your sales. And so they think, man, this is easy. So we're paying him too much money. So every year, the really good people find out that they raise their quotas to get bonuses. Number one, they'll raise the quota, so you have to do a lot more to get the bonus. And then the other thing they do is they cut your territory. So you can have a pro out there working a territory that they had, maybe let's just say 10 or 15 customers. They go out there and all of a sudden now they got 80 customers. Well, the company looks at that and says, well, we can fire the old pro, let him go down the road, hire a couple of 3 kids out of college, pay them pennies on the dollar what we pay him, and the old pro who developed that territory will save money, and the old pro is out the window. Maybe these youngsters will botch up the service and we'll lose customers, but it'll take 3 or 4 years, and by that time, it won't matter. And so these are the problems that you ran into with sales. So it was attractive, but you had these kinds of problems. You're insecure. You didn't really control your world. So what I found out that most people who were in sales is they were on the move. They moved geographically. Either the company moved them around or they moved companies. And so it was turned out to be a pretty unstable way to go. So then what I found out was what I thought was the absolute dream situation, and that is to get into sales management. Because that way you had all the advantage of sales plus the advantage of management. Now you could make money if you sold yourself. You could make money in sales. You could make money training other people. And you could make money overriding people that you trained yourself. And so for a long time I thought this is the ultimate right there. And it pretty much is. But there's something that's even beyond that. And that is the aspect of sales management where you really get beyond the thing where you're actually doing any sales or training yourself, and you're really working with people. And what you do is you graduate into kind of like a CEO, executive management, executive leadership position where you become a full-time leader. And what I found out, the leadership skill, this is where the real income is because of the value. You read, you talk to people, and here's what you find out. The world is full of people, no shortage of people. The world is full of ideas. Ideas are a dime a dozen. The people who use them are priceless. And actually, the world is full of money. Other people's money. That's why they have banks. That's why they have venture capitalists. So you have all of these things, but you know what's lacking? What's lacking is a worldwide shortage of leaders. Because see, people, let's take the music business. All kind of people in the music business who can play, they're brilliant. They're incredible. They just don't have a band. They don't have a gig. They don't have a date. They don't have any place to go to play. When some of these guys get elected to the Grand Ole Opry Club, whatever they call their association, they say, well, at least when I'm 80 years old, I'll have a place I can go play on Saturday night. So the thing is, one thing to have the skills, another thing to have a place to go do it. And then ideas are everywhere. Before any great idea breaks out in the public, most of these ideas have been bouncing around for years, but it takes somebody to grab hold of that and make it work, and usually it takes money to do that. So what makes all of this stuff, the magic happens when you have a leader come into the equation. Now what the leader is, pardon me, duck hunters of the world, I'm going to have to give you a word. This is dig back to my chemistry years. Catalyst. You need a leader is a catalyst. A catalyst is something that goes into a chemical equation, and I promise I'll leave this alone here in a minute, causes things to happen but is not affected themselves. So they're not actually something that's used up in there, but because they're in the situation. See, a catalyst causes the reaction. Causes the reaction. And that's what leaders are. Okay, into the chemistry. So, and that's what makes them so valuable, because when you can go in and you can get people excited about an idea, and you can get the funding and the support behind it, where you can put it together and you can link these up now, where they're not just floating around in space. Now they are linked up together. They are inside. They're on the same team. They're mobilized for a purpose. Here's what can happen. They can make positive things happen. They can build companies. Here's the kind of things that leaders, the kind of arenas where leaders make things happen. Political. In the political arena. In the military. See, the politician gets people who, they might believe the same thing. They might have a leaning. They think, they believe in a certain cause, but until they have someone to unify them, until they can get the funding to go in and win elections, a leader mobilizes them. Then you can go in there, get elected office, and make positive change. Military. You can take, it's great to have soldiers, equipment, and all this stuff, but without someone to organize them, put them to work, get them working together for a common goal on the attack to accomplish the objective, you're going nowhere. And of course, we know in your community, there's lots of things probably need to be done in your community to, take care of town, preserve things, look out for people, improve stuff, health care, different things. But without community leaders, everybody knows what needs to be done. There are people around that can do it. It's easy to find the money, or it's possible to find it, but there's nobody really cares enough. Until there's someone who cares enough, who can go in there and make it happen, a leader, community leader, is not going to have it. And then you have it in the religious world. You have it in the sports world. You got to have your coaches. You got to have your team owners. You can have these great teams and lousy ownership, and they never go anywhere. So you need great leaders at all levels. And also, of course, the obvious is business. These are not all of them. This gives you an idea. This is why the world revolves around what leaders make happen. And so that's why if you want to go out there and make an impact, make your life count, do something really valuable, and also turn into something can turn into big income for yourself because it's valuable. You're not tricking anybody. You're not getting away with anything. You're doing something really legitimately valuable. You're going to get into the leadership business in one arena or another. And if there is a worldwide shortage of anything, it's a worldwide shortage of leaders. In the next video, if you're interested, I'm going to talk a little bit about what leaders do, what makes them unique, and what the payoff is for them. So that's the skill, folks, that pays the most. It's leadership. So what do you think on that? What's been your experience? Give me your comments. Let me know.